You're standing in a parking lot before a morning hike, and your hands are already numb. You pull out your hand warmers, click them on, and nothing happens for 30 seconds while you're fumbling with frozen fingers trying to zip your jacket. Or worse, they heat up fast but die 2 hours into a 4-hour outing. Both of these rechargeable hand warmers claim to solve that problem, but only one actually delivers when it matters. We're comparing the Ocoopa UT3 Lite against the Ocoopa UT4 Young. Same brand, similar specs, $3 price difference. By the end of this, you'll know which one belongs in your pocket and which one is just marketing dressed up as an upgrade. Let's start with the thing that matters most when your hands are freezing. How fast these actually heat up and how hot they get. The UT3 Lite heats up in 5 seconds. The UT4 Young does it in 2. That 3-second difference sounds trivial until you're standing outside in 15-degree weather trying to get feeling back in your fingers. 2 seconds means you press the button and immediately feel warmth spreading across your palm. 5 seconds means you're standing there wondering if it's working while cold air keeps biting at your hands. Both have 3 temperature settings. The UT3 Lite goes up to 126 degrees Fahrenheit. The UT4 Young doesn't publish exact temps, but user reports suggest it hits similar highs. On the lowest setting, both provide enough warmth for normal cold weather, 30 to 40 degrees where you just need to take the edge off. Medium works for genuinely cold days in the 20s. High setting is for brutal cold or if you have circulation issues like Raynaud's where your fingers go numb easily. The heat output is effectively identical between these two. Neither one wins on temperature alone. Battery life is where things get interesting because both claim up to 8 hours, but that's on the lowest setting. Crank either one to high heat, and you're looking at closer to 3 to 4 hours of runtime. The UT3 Lite has a smaller battery because it's designed to be more compact. The UT4 Young has a 5,000 mAh battery, which is bigger, but it's also heating the same surface area with the same power draw. In real-world use, they last about the same amount of time at the same temperature settings. If you're running these on medium for a day of skiing or a long outdoor event, both will get you through without dying. If you're blasting them on high continuously, neither one makes it past lunch. Charging time matters almost as much as battery life. Both use USB-C, which is convenient because you can charge them from a laptop, power bank, or car charger. Full charge takes about 2 to 3 hours for both models. The UT3 Lite has a dust-resistant charging port cover, which is a nice touch if you're throwing these in a backpack with gear. The UT4 Young has an IP34 water-resistant rating, meaning it can handle splashes and light rain without failing. Neither one is waterproof enough to drop in snow and leave there, but the UT4 Young survives outdoor conditions better. Now let's talk about the design difference that actually affects how you use these. Both are magnetic and come in pairs. You can stick them together for storage or use them separately for one in each hand. This is where the UT3 Lite and UT4 Young diverge in meaningful ways. The UT3 Lite is 1.85 centimeters thick, just under 3/4 of an inch. It weighs 65 grams, which is about 2.3 ounces. That's genuinely compact. Fits in a jacket pocket, glove pocket, or even a jeans pocket without creating a bulge. The UT4 Young is 0.6 inches thick. That's noticeably thinner, almost half the thickness of the UT3 Lite. It also weighs 65 grams, so same weight but distributed across a flatter profile. The card-style design means it slides into tight spaces more easily. If you're wearing thin gloves and want to slip a hand warmer inside without making your hand feel bulky, the UT4 Young does that better. If you're putting one in a coat pocket that's already stuffed with keys and a phone, the flatter design takes up less vertical space. Here's the practical implication. The UT3 Lite feels more like holding a smooth stone. Comfortable grip, easy to wrap your fingers around. The UT4 Young feels like holding a credit card that's warm. Less ergonomic to grip for extended periods, but easier to position against your palm or slide between layers. Neither design is objectively better. It depends on whether you're actively holding them or tucking them into gloves and forgetting about them. Before we go further, you're going to see a dozen more rechargeable hand warmer comparisons trying to sell you on brands you've never heard of with specs that don't match real performance. I'm testing every major model and breaking down which ones actually work. If you want to skip the research and know which hand warmers are worth buying before winter gets worse, there's a subscribe button below this video. You'll know which models to trust and which ones to avoid. Build quality separates hand warmers that last multiple winters from ones that stop charging after 6 months. Both of these are UL certified for safety, which means they've passed third-party testing for temperature control and electrical safety. That's not marketing, it's actual certification you can verify. Both have safety temperature control chips that prevent overheating. Neither one is going to burn you or catch fire if you fall asleep holding it. The UT3 Lite uses a smooth plastic housing that feels solid but shows scratches easily if you're tossing it in a bag with other gear. The magnets are strong enough to keep the pair together through normal handling. The UT4 Young also uses plastic housing, but the flatter design makes it feel slightly more fragile if you're gripping it hard. User reviews mention the UT4 Young holding up well over months of use, but a few report the housing cracking if dropped on concrete. The UT3 Lite seems slightly more durable for rough handling, but neither one is built like outdoor gear that can take serious abuse. Ease of use is straightforward on both. One button controls power and temperature cycling. Press once to turn on at low heat. Press again for medium. Press again for high. Press and hold to turn off. The button placement is identical on both models. Neither one has a display showing battery percentage, which is annoying but standard for this price range. You just have to guess how much charge is left based on how long you've been using it. The magnetic connection is genuinely useful for both. When you're done using them, snap them together and throw them in a bag. They don't separate and get lost. They also stick to metal surfaces, so some users attach them to their fridge as a quirky decoration when not in use. The magnets on both models are strong enough to stay connected in a pocket or bag, but easy enough to pull apart with one hand when you need to separate them. Let's address what each one does better. The UT4 Young wins on portability. That ultra-thin profile makes it the better choice if you're slipping them into ski gloves, running gloves, or anywhere space is tight. The IP34 water resistance also makes it more reliable for outdoor activities where you might encounter snow, sleet, or rain. At $27, it's $3 cheaper, and it often comes in 2-packs, so you're getting both warmers for that price, not buying them separately. The UT3 Lite wins on grip comfort. The thicker design is easier to hold for extended periods if you're using them while sitting at an outdoor event or walking around a cold city. The dust-resistant charging port cover is a small detail, but it prevents lint and debris from getting into the port if you're storing these in a backpack for months. And some users just prefer the aesthetic. It looks more like a dedicated hand warmer rather than a flat card. Here's the honest limitation of the UT4 Young. The flat design means less surface area touching your palm at once. If you're gripping it, only the center makes solid contact. The edges don't wrap around your hand the way a thicker unit does. It works fine, but the heat distribution feels less enveloping. The UT3 Lite's limitation is bulk. If you're trying to fit it inside tight gloves or a small pocket, it creates more of a bulge than the UT4 Young. Now for the verdict. The Ocoopa UT4 Young is the better hand warmer, and it's the one you should buy. It heats up faster, 2 seconds versus 5. The ultra-thin design makes it more versatile for fitting into gloves, boots, or tight pockets. The IP34 water resistance means it handles outdoor conditions better. And at $27, it's cheaper than the UT3 Lite at $30 while delivering the same battery life and heat output. The UT4 Young does everything the UT3 Lite does, just in a more portable, weather-resistant package for less money. The UT3 Lite makes sense if you specifically prefer the thicker grip or if you're finding a deal where it's cheaper than the UT4 Young. It's not a bad hand warmer. It works well, heats fast, and lasts through a day of outdoor use. But unless you have a strong preference for the thicker design, the UT4 Young is the smarter buy. If you need hand warmers for hiking, skiing, hunting, or just surviving a cold commute, get the UT4 Young. If you're buying for someone with Raynaud's or circulation issues and they prefer a thicker grip, the UT3 Lite still works. Links to both are in the description, and thanks for watching. If you want to see more comparisons, then subscribe for more. Pick the one that fits your hands and stop researching.